I grew up going to games at Ohio State, and because my dad played there and I was always around his friends and seeing those guys, I never really had a doubt that I would play at Ohio State or would have the ability to play at Ohio State for some reason. So growing up, I just envisioned that, and then it manifested itself. Now, it manifests itself through hard work and genetics and all these great things, but the bond that we have is something that's a little unique because there's only been 120 plus teams in Ohio State history, and each one of those people that you look at earned a letter. We all share the same thing. We all earned what we did, and having your dad be able to identify that is and understand what that is very powerful, because you see parents that go through the recruiting process or whatever, and they don't know what it is, right? They don't know what to expect. They don't know what it is. My dad left me alone. I mean, he knew I was good enough and knew I had the drive and all those things. He didn't have to push me to do stuff. And in the recruiting process, let me make my own decision, which was really probably the best thing he could have done. If he just would have said, you're going to Ohio State and all this stuff, you're 15, 16, 17-year-old kid, you're going to rebel against that. That's what's in your nature. I actually went to Michigan, visited Colorado, visited Tennessee, visited all these places, and eventually went to Ohio State because Tress. I mean, there's no way I'm not going to play for Coach Tressel, being from here and how great a guy he was. The 06 Michigan game was bizarre because there was so much focus and attention. I'd played in a number of big games. We played at Notre Dame, we played at Texas, we played Texas at home, but that one, it felt different for a lot of reasons. Number one, the Michigan game is never that time of day, which was a little weird, a little late, and the other side of it was you could actually feel the entire nation looking at you. And what do I mean by that? During the week, there's a lot of stuff that goes on during the Michigan week. There's you do stuff with the band, you do stuff with boosters, you do stuff with all these different people. But the difference between this week and every other one of those weeks was there was every famous reporter, there was every newspaper, there was HBO filming the thing. I mean, it was bananas how much coverage there was with this game. And then the day of the game, you couldn't get away from it. It was on all the TVs, it was everywhere. The campus was just buzzing with emotion. So you felt everything, and then on top of that, it's senior day for us. So senior day is emotional enough as it is, and then it's 1 versus 2, so that's going on. The good thing about football is when the second the game begins, all that stuff kind of melts away because you're in what I've discovered is a flow state. You're just playing inside that moment. Stuff is slowing down. You've watched enough film. You've prepared all year. You're at this razor's edge. So the game itself is just like any other game, essentially. For me personally, the problem was I had a broken hand that game, and I was playing with a cast on, and I rolled one snapback, which was a very bad deal, and I had another bad snap, and I actually played pretty well throughout the game, but those were two very key plays that were a bad deal. And I was sitting there scared to death that I was going to be the reason why we lost the game. Scared to death. I mean, I was full of trepidation like crazy. The amount of relief that happened when we actually won the game, for me personally, was so aggressive that I actually broke down crying in the locker room because I was so just full of fear that I was going to be the goat, scapegoat. And after that, I mean, we won the game. I was excited. There's fans everywhere. It just was crazy on the field. But then as soon as I got back to the locker room, I had to beat to myself. Like I said, I broke down crying. And Coach Tress came up to me and he's like, "What's the matter with you?" And I go, "Coach, I almost lost the game for us." He's like, "That doesn't matter at all." And he goes, "We won. That's all that matters." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I kind of perked back up and went and celebrated with my teammates. Coach Tressel's one of the greatest human beings that's ever lived. He actually believes what he says, does what he says, and doesn't depart from that at all. He's an incredible guy. Now, every day at Ohio State, we had a thing called quiet time. So you have a book called The Winner's Manual. It's broken down into various things like love, respect, country, whatever. There's all these different terms. Each day you go through one of those terms and read quotations and things, and those lessons are drilled into you day after day after day after day. So I still do quiet time. Coach Tressel's on Twitter. Every day he puts a quiet time quote out. I still do it. All my buddies still do it. And the amount of life lessons he taught you how to be a man through football, not football to be a man. It was how to be a man first, then it was how to go through football. And just accountability is the biggest one for me. Do what you say you will do, and do it at the best of your ability.